Many thanks for joining us. You're watching news now on TV360 Lagos. I am Annetta Felix. The United Labour Congress has insisted it will embark on its nationwide strike on September 26. The Labour Union had joined all other Labour Congresses to give the federal government a 14-day ultimatum on September 12 to address the issues surrounding the minimum wage of workers. However, the body's president, Joe Ajaero, says the government is yet to respond 12 days after the deadline was issued, leaving the union with no other option than to embark on the strike.
That on this 12th day of the 14-day ultimatum we issued government, that the federal government has not responded positively to our demands, neither have we seen any sign that suggests otherwise. That the federal government of Nigeria, through the Federal Ministry of Labor, has instead chosen to trivialize a life and death matter concerning Nigerian workers and masses, and unfortunately close to tread the path of name-calling. That the federal government of Nigeria is therefore still insistent on playing politics with the lives and living conditions of Nigerians, especially Nigerian workers. Nigeria will remember that in May this year, we raised alarm when the Minister of Labour said categorically that there will be no new national minimum wage before the end of September this year. This was, however, denied by the federal government, but with this latest gambit, our worst fear concerning the government's motives over the national minimum wage has been confirmed. That the federal government has remained immune to the suffering and wanton deprivations which its policies and actions have brought upon the working people of this country. This government is demonstrably not worried about the increasing poverty in the country, which has since last year made Nigeria the country with the largest number of poor people all over the globe. It is not therefore surprising that it does not think of how to lift Nigerians out of this morass. The government has shown by its actions and remarkable lack of seriousness, which recently may have characterized governance in Nigeria, that we therefore wish to reaffirm our commitment to pursue the attainment of our collective demand for 65,000 naira monthly as the new national minimum wage for all Nigerian workers as harmonized by organized labor. That we recommit to the 14-day ultimatum issued to the federal government. That as a result of this apparent disregard, we shall, in conjunction with other labor centers, working with civil society organizations across Nigeria, embark on a nationwide action, if nothing is done, to meet our demands on the expiration of this collective ultimatum in the next few days.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has commended the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on its performance at the Osun State governorship election. The minister also hit back at the PDP for claiming the election was rigged. Mohammed, who is also the chairman of the APC Presidential Council in Pose, also commended Osun residents for deepening the country's democracy by shunning violence and exercising their franchise in an orderly manner. He also noted that such fair polls would not have been possible under the leadership of the PDP. Mohammed says the current APC leadership believes that every disagreement resulting from elections must be resolved through a democratic process rather than a resort to threats of fire and brimstone. Meanwhile, the Senate President Bukola Saraki has rejected INEC's declaration that the result of the election held on Saturday was inconclusive. Saraki, who is also chairman of the PDP's Presidential Council on Osun State's governorship election, has advised his party and its governorship candidate, Senator Ademola Adeleke, to seek a legal interpretation of the situation, with the results and the decision taken on it by INEC. Saraki says that it was necessary to also call on INEC to display courage, independence, neutrality, and patriotism in order to send signals to the world that Nigeria's democracy had matured. The ruling All Progressives Congress is scheduling its primaries from September 25th to September 27, 2018. The party had last week revised its dates for primaries. Although the APC did not change the dates for other primaries, its new dates for the presidential primary is the same as that of the Osun governorship rerun. The party also announced that duly registered party members can now collect their permanent membership cards from their respective wards. Meanwhile, political analyst Deborah Soshoma has charged INEC to implement stricter penalties to curb vote buying. Incidences of vote buying has been the issue in recent elections in Nigeria and were again on display in Osun governorship polls, with the police arresting 3 suspects. Oshoma, who was speaking on our flagship program, TV360, wants the electoral body to be stricter in applying penalties for vote buying.
In some cases, where it is so obvious, you say, oh, vote for this person and then you get 2,000 naira. INEC had the power inherent by virtue of even their regulations, not just to prosecute, because once there are irregularities, you can cancel votes. And so once those these are infractions, these are inducements. And so once you identify, but because we lack the willpower to do the right thing, and so we are fixated on those 2 major political parties. By the time you
are prosecuting both the giver and the taker.
Yes, the taker. So by the time you use the 2 major political parties to set example by nullifying those votes that were induced, and then an underdog emerges as winner, a lot of people also will sit up. You know fully well that if you share, and at the end of the day, those votes are going to be declared invalid anyway. And I also think that should be one of the function of the Electoral Offences Commission. Because the Attorney General also had talked about the fact that now you're going to have these people, you know, not on ad hoc basis, just like you have EFCC officials who will come as undercover to observe the process. And so in that case, some people might be arrested on the day of election, and there might be photographic evidence to even nullify votes that were induced.
The National Assembly has postponed its resumption from September 25th to October 9. Clerk of the Assembly, Mohammed Sani Omolori, says the new date is to allow for the conclusion of the primary elections of political parties. The All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party have scheduled their primaries within the next 2 weeks. Sani Omolori says members of the Assembly are expected to resume by 10 a.m. on the new dates. Security analyst Roy Okidive has been suggesting ways the government can improve security in military barracks to curb attacks by Boko Haram insurgents. Roy wants the government to restructure the security architecture in the country to help make barracks more secure. He also wants the government to equip the military with the latest technological equipment and also encourage interagency cooperation.
Most people don't understand that some of our security strategies, structures, facilities in Nigeria today were not built and designed to meet the security threats and vulnerabilities that are before us right now. You know, like the military barracks per se, you know, most barracks were built with the normal expectation. The highest crime in Nigeria would be banditry. Highest crime could be coup d'etat against the military. Highest crime could be maybe one government security agency fighting another government security agency. We have not seen the fact that terrorists and terrorism is staring us in our eyeballs. So we need to restructure our military bases. We need to restructure our military barracks. We need to restructure access control to such premises or such facilities. We need to look into our policing policies. You know, it's so disheartening when you see that people's contribution that are going to make the appropriate changes are not regarded. You know, it's so disheartening that when you put bills before the National Assembly, the Senate, the ones that create the necessary hype and attention are not those that are supposed to secure lives and properties. It's so disheartening to see that a government will be distracted away from securing into providing for insecurity. Providing for insecurity is a reactive measure. Securing is a proactive measure. These are two clear-cut paths that the government is supposed to take. So if you see people running through a military base and marauding the military strongholds, you should understand that the structure is not equipped. Because let me give you one insight now. A military base that is expecting, that it knows that it's in a vulnerable point, that is expecting terrorism, attacks and all that, you could see enough technology protection. Technology has not been deployed in all of these places. If you walk into a military barracks in Nigeria, you will see that the resources to protect it, technology has not been enhanced. Because I expect that everybody coming into a military facility, even if you commit a crime and you try to go out, there should be a lockdown procedure. And counter-attacks, counter-protection. Is there any other base close by that is on standby to react if this particular military base is being attacked? So if you are attacking base A and you want to run over the soldiers there, base B should be on red alert to protect A should be on red alert to protect B.
Meanwhile, a non-governmental organization known as the Justice, Development and Peace Center is condemning the state of insecurity in the country. The group also accuses politicians of using identity politics as a basis to keep the people divided. The director of the group, Raymond Anoliefo, urges Nigerians to resist every attempt to further divide the country.
The greatest and immediate danger to the survival of the Nigerian state today is the unwarranted, senseless, premeditated, well-organized and orchestrated killings across the country. From Benue to Plateau, Taraba to Zamfara, Enugu to Ebonyi, Kogi to Edo, Ekiti to Ondo, Nigerians are cut down at will, babies ripped from their mothers' wombs, houses destroyed and burnt down. Virtually all the time, the killers are never apprehended. Peace is possible. The desire by Nigerians for a peaceful and harmonious existence and cohabitation among themselves within the existing social milieu in the country is not in doubt regardless of religious, geopolitical and ethnic affiliations. Many decades of living together testify to the mutual trust and respect Nigerians across various divides have for one another. Unfortunately, the political operators of the system, who come from all the geopolitical zones of the country, have oftentimes used identity politics as a basis to keep the people divided while they prey on the resources of the entire people. Our duty as a people is to resist every attempt to further the divisions in our country and to work to uphold the basic universal values of rights, from which the right to peace is fundamental. As a people, we must not allow ourselves to be used by disgruntled elements to foment trouble and wreak havoc because of elections. Do not sell your votes. It is your right.
You're still watching news now on TV360 Nigeria. After this break, we'll bring you more news from around the world.
Corruption not in my country.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
My name is Alero. I am not sick. I just need you to help put your stamp on this medical report. I want to tender it at my office as a sick leave. I'll pay 10,000 naira.
Ma'am, that is impersonation. I'm not a doctor.
Oga, be like say this English no go pay. I go increase the money to 20,000 naira. I beg. You know, if I give you that 20,000, as you wide, so, you know, if it still help your condition more. So, you know, say you spread well.
As I spread like virus, I'll be.
You talk. Come
out! If person come your hospital, talk say make you give am fake medical report, make you go take collect sick leave. Talk and say no, na corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
You're welcome back to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. We're going over now to Fidelia Agunta for News and Business. Hello, Fidelia.
Hi, Annetta.
So we know the current state of Nigerian universities and about the Nigerian Airways, which ceased operation in 2003, and how former workers of the company have been battling, back and forth with the Nigerian government on their pension and, of course, retirement benefits. What's the update on that?
Well, you're right, Annetta. The federal government has approved a sum of 22.68 billion naira for the payment of retirement benefits to former workers of liquidated Nigerian Airways Limited. The amount, which was approved by President Muhammadu Buhari, is about 50% of the 45.3 billion naira entitlement of the former workers of the company. The Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, also says a separate sum of 20 billion naira was approved for the education sector. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has warned that the country may slip back into recession owing to the current political climate in Nigeria. Nigeria slipped into a recession in late 2016 but recovered a year later. MAN's outgoing president, Frank Jacob, warns that if the current budget gaps are not addressed, there may be a recession in 2019.
Because of the politics that is being played today, which is affecting our budget and also affecting the economy. If things are not managed well, we could slip back into recession, especially the manufacturing sector. Today, most of my members complain of large stock of finished goods, inventory of finished goods not sold. And the only reason that could be the case is that there's not enough money in the system. Not having enough money in the system results from non-implementation of the budget. If this continues for a long time, it's possible we will slip back into recession. Although, on the other hand, some members of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria seem to be performing very, very well. That is why I said the answer is both no and yes.
The Bureau of Public Enterprises, BPE, says it is determined to fast-track the process of getting all the sector's reform bills presented to the National Assembly for passage. BPE says the bills were purposely drafted to improve the way businesses are done in the country.
I wouldn't agree that it's not the best. I think it's the best for Nigeria. That we have hiccups now doesn't mean the intent is not the best for the country. When we started the telecom reform, that was the story we got, that we are going to sell the security implications and all that. But today, a student owns not just one line, but probably about 5 lines. And then in other sectors, we have gone through this, and we believe that in the power sector, we are going to get there. It probably will take a little while. It's been over 3-4 years now, but if anybody is honest with his or herself, will realize that what we inherited in 2000 and the investors inherited in 2013 is not what it is today. We've improved, but we are not where we want to be, but we are moving forward. We are moving. The areas where government is still has a majority or whole interest, the transmission company, it needs to be reformed. Today we are generating over 6,000, 7,000 megawatts of power, but the willing capacity of TCN is not yet there. And then that's where government needs to improve. And then we also need to work to balance the tariff Absolutely. We have the both in concession and pure privatization. Right now, the two that will be concluding in the next month or so.
Let's now take a look at the Nigeria Stock Exchange. Welcome back. It was a bearish market today at the NSE, with the all-share index declining by 0.31%. The market capitalization, on the other hand, closed the day at 11.847 trillion naira. Now, the oil and gas sector recorded the most loss for today, with Forte Oil taking the biggest hit. Now, Forte Oil, however, did not top the losers table, as the losers table, as you can see, is topped by Okumu Oil from the agricultural sector. It is followed by Nigeria Brewers right here from the consumer goods sector, closing the day at 90 naira, and Forte Oil, as I made mention earlier, and Cap PLC from the industrial goods sector. Now, on the flip side, the top gainers table, as you can see, was dominated by the banking sector, making the most gains for today, with Guarantee Trust Bank making more of the gains for today in the banking sector. And but it was, however, just like the losers chart, the top gainers table was topped by Unilever from the consumer goods sector, and it's followed closely by Guarantee Trust Bank, and another one from the banking sector, which is Zenith Bank, and PZ Cussons, also from the consumer goods sector. And on the top traders table, it is once again dominated by the banking sector, making 3 out of the top 4 spots on our top traders table. And we can see Guarantee Trust Bank making its second appearance on this table, because it was leading this table on Friday. And today it's made over 2 billion sales, actually, followed by Transcorp, UBA, and Fidelity, with 15.825 million shares traded, 10.57 million shares traded, and 9.70 million shares traded for Fidelity Bank. And in summary, we can see that the value of shares traded today is at 3.306 billion naira. That means Guarantee Trust Bank, which made over 2 billion sales today, made over 50% for the worth of the value of shares traded. And the total dues for today is 2,942. Taking a look at the global stock market, we can see that contrary to the way it closed on Friday, the Nikkei is actually the only one in the greens today. FTSE and Dow Jones closed in the reds today. Well, that's a look at activities on the stock market. Over to you, Anetta.
Thank you for that, Fidelia. And one thing I've discovered, taking a look at these stock charts over the past few weeks, and I dare to say even months, is that win or lose, the financial services are steadily on the list of, what stockholders or shareholders are always buying, because you find out that first week of September, second week of September, and the last week just ended, the financial services, I'm talking banks, have the highest traded stocks in the market.
You're very correct, Annetta. Very correct.
Indeed. So over now, we'll take a break and return with stories in sports and internationally. Do stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
What's your name?
Onosude Omorife. May you check your own list, cause the list where they outside. Onosude on your name never do.
Your name is Onoriode. You even went as a fashion designer.
As you don't come back, so now I won't go as Akpobori Ovi, and Ovi won't go as pilots.
That is impersonation.
My own share for the national cake be that.
Mr. Onosode.
Akpobori.
The Amnesty Program is an intervention project for sustainable economic development of the Niger Delta, which you are a beneficiary of, lying under pretext for your selfish gain and advantage is robbing others of the same opportunity. And that is an act of corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
The death toll in 2 major landslides that struck the Philippines recently climbs to 95. Officials said as of Sunday, a total of 49 bodies have been pulled out of the rubble in the mining town of Itogon in Benguet province in the northern Philippines. Meanwhile, a total of 46 bodies have so far been retrieved from the landslide that also hit a community at the foot of a quarrying site in Naga City in the central Philippine Cable province. In Itogan, disaster officials said at least 19 others are still missing after mud boulders crashed onto a bunker house. Tanzania's Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has led national funerals on the island of Ukara, where the first 12 victims have been buried after a ferry capsized on Lake Victoria, killing 224 people. Majaliwa spoke of great mourning by the whole nation on Sunday as the first coffins were placed in individual graves, many of the victims yet unidentified. The remainder of the dead was to be buried later or taken away by families who wished to hold private funerals. Majalawi said the memorial will be built on Ukara, where the MV Nkere had been coming into dock on Thursday. Cameroon captain Benjamin Mokanjo has announced his retirement from international duty, stating comments made by new coach Clarence Seedorf as the reason. The former AC Milan and Deportivo La Coruna manager snubbed players in the first Chinese Super League for the first competitive game, a 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualification match that ended 1-1 against Comoros. Seedorf stated that young, good players don't compete in China or in Asia. La Liga's plan to host a game in the U.S. suffered another blow on Monday when the Spanish Football Players Association announced that they were against the idea. The league's ambition to stage January's 26 Girona versus Barcelona fixture in Miami have been met with resistance from the Spanish Soccer Federation, which last week refused to back the idea that they received more information. This led to a public war of words between La Liga chief Javier Tebas and RFEF president Luis Rubiales. After receiving a more detailed analysis of the idea, the AFE aligned themselves with the RFEF, highlighting potential breaches of the collective agreement between the AFE and La Liga. That's all on News Now on TV360. I am Annette Felix. Thanks for watching.